All right, let's jump right into this explainer with a kind of simple but honestly profound question. Why does your body specifically need a complex, four-chambered design instead of just, a basic biological pump? If you think about it, nature is incredibly efficient, so this major biological upgrade must serve a massive purpose for your everyday survival. So, based on our source material today, we are going to map out the epic mechanics of the human heart, explore its evolutionary genius, and even uncover a completely hidden network running parallel to your veins called the lymphatic system. It is an absolute marvel of bioengineering. We'll be breaking this down into 5 quick waypoints. First, meet the human heart. Second, the blood's double journey. Third, the lub-dub valve system. Fourth, evolution of the heart. And fifth, the hidden lymphatic system. Let's get started. All right, Section 1, meet the human heart, the involuntary pump. Think of the heart as the ultimate biological engine. Made entirely of involuntary cardiac muscle, it just works automatically 24/7 without a single conscious thought from you. Sitting snugly right there in your chest cavity, it's roughly the size of your clenched fist. And because it's so incredibly vital, it comes wrapped in its very own protective, double-layered sac called the pericardium. That sac guards it against friction as it beats furiously over your entire lifetime. If we open it up, you can see the core internal architecture. Notice those massive vessels on top? You've got the vena cava bringing used blood in, and the mighty aorta, which is basically the body's main highway, sending fresh blood out. Inside, there are 4 distinct rooms, 2 on the right, 2 on the left, and they're completely divided down the middle by a thick, muscular wall called the septum. Now, that septum is a crucial piece of engineering, and we'll see exactly why in just a minute. Zooming in on those 4 rooms, they're divided into upper and lower sections. The upper chambers are the atria, and the lower chambers are the ventricles. What's truly fascinating here is the structural difference between them. The atria are relatively thin-walled. Why? Well, because they're basically just receiving rooms for incoming blood. They only need to give a little squeeze to drop the blood down. The ventricles, on the other hand, are incredibly thick-walled and muscular, but they're doing all the heavy lifting. They have to forcefully pump blood out of the heart, all the way down to your toes and all the way up to your brain. It's a perfect example of form following function. Now, if you want a foolproof way to remember which side does what, just think of the mnemonic LORD. That stands for left oxygenated, right deoxygenated. Your left heart strictly handles the fresh, oxygen-rich blood, while your right heart strictly handles the used, oxygen-poor blood. LORD. It's a really simple trick, but it instantly decodes the heart's entire traffic system for you. Moving right along to Section 2, the blood's double journey, the epic continuous loop. So we have what is called a double circulation system, which basically means a single drop of blood actually enters the heart twice just to complete one full cycle. In step 1, deoxygenated blood from your body enters the right heart. In step 2, the right heart pumps it next door to the lungs to pick up some fresh oxygen. In step 3, that newly oxygenated blood returns to the left heart. And finally, in step 4, the massive left ventricle pumps it out to all your body organs. It's this non-stop, dynamic figure-8 loop bouncing from heart to body. You can really see this double loop in action here. On one side, you've got pulmonary circulation. That's the shorter loop between the heart and the lungs where carbon dioxide is dropped off and fresh oxygen is picked up. And on the other side is systemic circulation. That's the massive, high-pressure loop that drives that freshly oxygenated blood out to nourish every single cell and tissue in your body. 2 distinct circuits powered by one single, perfectly synchronized pump. Which brings us to Section 3, the lub-dub valve system, literally the sound of circulation. With all this blood rushing and crashing through these chambers, you might be wondering, what keeps it from just turning into total chaos? Well, the secret lies in the heart valves. These are precision, mechanical-like flap structures located strategically inside the heart. They open up to let blood pass through and then violently slam shut to strictly prevent any backward flow. They act as biological security gates. And this is where it gets really cool. We've all heard that universally recognized lub-dub sound of a heartbeat, right? But that is actually not the sound of the heart muscle flexing. It's the literal acoustic sound of these specific valves snapping shut. The first sound, the lub, is the tricuspid and bicuspid valves closing as the ventricles contract. The second sound, the dub, is the pulmonary and aortic valves snapping shut right after. Your heartbeat is literally the sound of one-way traffic control. All right, section 4, evolution of the heart, and why we actually need those 4 chambers. If we zoom out and look at the evolutionary data across different vertebrates, a super clear biological progression emerges. Fish survive entirely on a simple 2-chambered heart with single circulation. Amphibians and most reptiles stepped it up to 3 chambers, but that design still allows fresh and used blood to mix together, which leaves them completely cold-blooded. It actually isn't until we reach birds and mammals that we see the sophisticated 4-chamber design with complete double circulation. Here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. A 4-chambered heart, perfectly split by that thick septum we saw earlier, completely prevents the mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. This highly efficient separation means maximum oxygen reaches your cells. More oxygen means more cellular respiration and massive ATP energy production. And that energy surplus is exactly what enables mammals and birds to be warm-blooded. It lets us regulate our own constant body temperature, regardless of whether it's freezing or boiling outside. Our 4-chambered heart is literally the engine that lets us survive in diverse climates all over the globe. And finally, section 5. The hidden lymphatic system, the body's secret drainage network. Before we dive into the network itself, we gotta define what lymph actually is. Also known as tissue fluid, lymph is a colorless liquid containing white blood cells. It forms from a very specific biological reality, the high-pressure leakage of plasma out of your tiny blood capillaries. So here's what's happening. As your powerful heart forces blood through the tiniest capillaries, the sheer pressure squeezes some of the liquid plasma out through the capillary pores and into the surrounding tissue spaces. If that fluid just sat there indefinitely, we would literally swell up like balloons. So a completely separate network of one-way lymphatic vessels acts kind of like a secondary drainage system. It gathers up this escaped tissue fluid and eventually returns it safely back into your main blood veins. But hey, don't think of it as just a passive drain. The lymphatic system is absolutely vital for your everyday survival. Because it's packed with white blood cells, it's essentially a highway for your immune system, constantly fighting off infections. It also plays a really critical role in your digestion, specifically by absorbing dietary fats from your intestines that are just too large to directly enter the bloodstream. All of this while maintaining your body's overall fluid balance. It is a silent guardian, working tirelessly alongside your circulatory system. To wrap up this explainer, let's test that newfound expertise with a quick practice question straight from our source material. The presence of valves inside the heart. A. Prevents mixing. B. Maintains position. C. Prevents backflow. Or D. None of these. Based on everything we've explored today, the answer is C. Preventing backflow to create that famous love-dub sound. Now I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. If the 4-chambered heart was the evolutionary leap that allowed mammals to conquer the cold, what limits of biology might humans engineer next? Could there ever be a need for a 5-chambered heart? Keep exploring, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.